If you do not care about any of my short little blah 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 here is the timestamp for the start of the trial footage and the end of my babbling. If you are interested, then you are probably a long-time watcher and listener and know that my true crime obsession began with an interest in the psychology of serial killers. But after losing one of my own to domestic homicide, I moved on to an interest in people who kill the ones they supposedly love. Anyways, the trial of Jeffrey Dahmer happened in 1992, and I didn't watch it because court TV was something that you had to pay extra for cable for, and I was 21 and too poor for cable. It was not on YouTube to just watch. So I have now watched the whole darn thing, which was 2 weeks long and had a lot of people testify, and the prosecutor is probably one of the most long-winded speakers I've ever heard. So rather than torture you with 17 hours of objections and occupational background questions, here is the most important and most interesting parts of the full trial cut down to less than 2 hours for you. The clips are mostly in order of who testified when, with some exceptions in the middle just because I felt it flowed better. Oh, and Dahmer actually pled guilty to all 15 counts of murder against him. This trial was not over his guilt, but if he suffered from a mental disorder or not. So a lot of the blah, blah, blah that was testified to at the trial that I cut out was about his demeanor when encountered by people, which, spoiler alert, despite his grotesque crimes, he presented as perfectly normal. That was until he murdered you and did weird and antisocial things with your body parts. I will stop talking now and enjoy the horrificness of one of America's most infamous and prolific serial killers, and I will hopefully see you again for one of my usual, more victim-focused coverage of true crime.
We all have sexual desires. That comes with humanity. Everyone in this room has sexual desire. Some of them vary. Some of them vary in strength. Some of them may be for a man may desire a woman. A woman may desire a man. A man may desire another man. Or a woman may desire another woman. We understand that. We all have those experiences. Most of us know what we're talking about. Some people have different desires that vary from that. But the key issue is you don't impose that on somebody else. And that's what this case is about. This is about a man that had sexual desires for men. Not a crime, certainly. In most states it isn't, certainly. It isn't in Wisconsin. Sexual desire for men. But he was a man that didn't want to, after having relations with such men, he didn't want to stop there. He didn't want it to end. He wanted it to continue under his terms. And that's what this is about. The decision of the defendant to go ahead, to take men unwillingly, in bathhouses, and I'll talk about that, even other adults that wouldn't do as he wished, he began to drug them. And that's really what this is about an appetite, a sexual appetite of this defendant that simply would not be stopped. Stephen Hicks, age 19, during the summer of 1978. Mr. Dahmer has graduated from Revere High School in Bath, Ohio. He's finished his high school education. He is driving along. He starts thinking about, he reports that he's had thoughts about having sex with a hitchhiker. On this particular day, he sees a hitchhiker, passes by and thinks about it. He's got a car that day. He's got a home available to him that day. His parents are not there. And he picks up that hitchhiker and takes that hitchhiker back to the home. He then decides that hitchhiker, after a period of time, the hitchhiker apparently, and he gives some mixed statements on this. His initial statements to police are not the final statements on it. But eventually he indicates that he decides that he wants to have sex with this hitchhiker and comes up behind him, invites him to the home. They're talking, and he comes up behind him and hits him with a barbell, renders him unconscious, and then proceeds to strangle him with a portion of the barbell. He conceals the body. A day or two later, he takes it apart, cuts it up, decides to transport it to a dump, packs it into some garbage bags, puts it in the back of the car, and drives down the road. He's stopped by a police officer driving to the left of center. And that officer stops the car and thinks there's some drunkenness involved, and there's a discussion between the officer and himself. And he persuades the officer that he is not intoxicated. And the officer writes a ticket, driving left of center, and leaves him alone. And Mr. Dahmer then returns to the house, to the family house, the body still in the back, and stuffs it into a part of the house. At first he told police that 2 weeks later he got rid of the body, that under a crawl space, but in a later statement he said no, in fact it was 2 years later after the military, some 3 years later, that he came back and disposed of the body of Stephen Hicks. Does have a curiosity about blood, tastes it once, doesn't like it, that's the end of it. Curious, yes, I grant you that. Different taste, curiosity. Tries it once, doesn't like it, that's the end of it. And he quit attending church and looking into a religion, and for a while he delved into the occult. He stated that he did this because he felt that since religion wasn't working, maybe he should delve into the occult and into Satanism. However, after reading several books and dabbling into it, at least at that time, he decided that it was not for him, and he began to give into his homosexual tendencies. There may be different perceptions of that in this room and on this jury about whether that's right or wrong. In our state, it's not a crime between adults to have homosexual practices. That's the state of law in our state, and that's what guides in terms of what a person lawfully or unlawfully does. And he decided that he wanted to continue to attend the bathhouses. He wanted to express himself sexually that way, but he did not want the other person, the other male, to express himself by anal sex on Mr. Dahmer. He felt that sometimes the men insisted on that. He didn't want that, but he wanted the sex. So he came up with an idea of drugging the persons he would meet at the bathhouses. Particularly the Milwaukee bathhouse. And he determined to take that drug that he got with the ruse from the physician, with the ruse that he needed it to sleep. And he began to experiment with drugging people. He said he used the Ambassador Hotel and the Wisconsin Hotel. He would meet these men, persuade them. He said his typical process was to suggest he would pay them to come, go to the hotel with them, and drug them. And while they were drugged, he would use them sexually. That's towards the end of November of 1987. He meets a young man by the name of Stephen Tomey, and they go to the Ambassador Hotel. Mr. Dahmer will indicate that he has already reserved that room. He has already ground the pills that he's going to use to drug. He has secured the room, prepared the pills, and then he goes out to look for whom he will victimize. Goes out, literally, gets him, brings him back, offers him some money to come back. They come back to the hotel, and he drugs him, which is his practice. Mr. Dahmer himself is drinking. Mr. Dahmer says he woke up the next morning, and Stephen Tomey was dead in the bed. Mr. Dahmer says he doesn't know what happened. He saw an injury, looked like a rib injury, on Mr. Tomey. Mr. Dahmer could not recall. He said himself his arms were bruised, but he did not know what happened. Drinking, whatever it was, he did not know what happened. He went down to the hotel lobby, signed in for another day, keeping the room for another day. During that day, went down to the Grand Avenue Mall, bought a large suitcase, and brought it back to the Ambassador Hotel. He stuffed Mr. Tuomi into that suitcase, waited until about 1 or so in the morning, summoned a cab, and took the suitcase with Mr. Tuomi into it down to the cab, got into the cab, and went out to his grandmother's home. When he got out to the grandmother's home at the opportune time, he disposed of the body of Mr. Stephen Tuomi, masturbated on it, and disposed of the body of Mr. Stephen Tuomi. Cut it up, cut up the flesh into small garbage bags, triple-lined garbage bags, took it out to the garbage, took the bones, wrapped them in a sheet, and smashed them with a sledgehammer, and then put them also in the garbage. We are now down here. James Dockstader, on the 17th of January, 1988, a 15-year-old boy. Took him out to the grandmother's house in West Dallas, took him in, the grandmother was asleep, drugged him, had sex with him, and killed him. 15-year-old boy. then disposed of the body.
Richard Guerrero, age 22.
Basic facts are these. Mr. Dahmer meets him at the Phoenix Bar. That's one of the gay bar area, in the gay bar area. He went to Dahmer's grandmother's house out in West Dallas, and they had oral sex. Mr. Dahmer drugged Guerrero, killed him, and disposed of the body. Victim number 5, Anthony Sears. Mr. Dahmer met him at La Cage, which is in the gay bar area near 2nd and National. They went to Dahmer's grandmother's house out in West Dallas, where they had sex. Dahmer then drugged the victim and killed him. On Sunday, May 20th of 1990, he met Raymond Smith, also known as Cash D. He met him at the 219 Club, one of the gay clubs. And they went to the address at 924 North 25th Street, where Dahmer drugged him, killed him, and had oral sex with him. On Sunday, June 24, 1990, he meets Edward W. Smith, also known as the Sheik. He was who was last seen at a gay pride parade. Dahmer met him at the Phoenix Bar and took him to his apartment by cab. That's at 924 North 25th Street. They had oral sex. Dahmer gave Smith a drink and strangled him. I may be reading this in one sequence or another, but basically what's happening is, with some there's sex before, with some there's sex after. Each of these so far he has strangled to death. Except we do not know how Mr. Tomey died, but the rest have been strangled to death. Ernest Miller, 23-year-old man. Jeffrey Dahmer states that he met him in front of a bookstore in the 800 block of North 27th Street. There's a bookstore in that area. That's roughly 27th and Wells in our city. That he met Mr. Miller there in the street, that they went back to the apartment, that Mr. Miller drugged him and then killed him by cutting his jugular vein. Dahmer said that he was short on pills, didn't have a full dose to give Miller. This is the only person that Dahmer killed with a knife. When all is said and done, he killed 17 men, and there was no one looking for him. He wasn't wanted. It's a very clever way to get rid of the flesh of these people, and to soak the bones in acid. He got acid, would soak the bones, get rid of the bones. He kept mementos of them. He kept skulls of many of them, not all of them, but many of them. September 24, 1990, he met David Thomas. Dahmer states that he met him at 2nd in Wisconsin. This is on the street, 2nd in Wisconsin, and that they went to Dahmer's apartment on North 25th Street. Dahmer drugged him and killed the victim. In his first 2 statements to the police, Dahmer stated that he did not have sex with him and that he killed Thomas because he didn't want him to recover and get angry at him. On the 17th of February 1991, on the street at a bus stop, the defendant met Curtis Straughter. Mr. Straughter was a 19-year-old man at that time. Strike that, a 17-year-old man at that time. Mr. Straughter now, we've gone through David Thomas. We're now at Curtis Straughter, age 17. On February 17, 1991, Dahmer met him on a street corner near a bus stop. Met with him. They went to Dahmer's apartment. Dahmer drugged him, had oral sex, and strangled the victim with a strap. Took some photos at the time, then dismembered him. Several weeks later, on April 7, 1991, another victim falls. That is victim number 11, Mr. Lindsay. He is age 19 years of age. Mr. Dahmer meets him at 27th and Kilburn, which is near his apartment. It's a street corner meeting, and Dahmer takes him to the apartment where Dahmer drugged and strangled the victim and then had oral sex with him and then dismembered him. On Monday, May 20th, 1991, Dahmer purchased 16 gallons of muriatic acid and 6 gallons of Soilex cleaner, and 1 pair of stripping and refining gloves from the National Ace Hardware. It decided that to speed up the operation of acidifying the flesh and the bones, buying this muriatic acid with the intent to facilitate the disposition of the flesh and the bones. On Friday the 24th, that very day of 1991, another victim would fall, Tony Hughes. Mr. Hughes, as you can see from is 31 years of age at the time. Mr. Hughes is a man that does not speak. He is a hearing problem. Mr. Dahmer met him at the 219 Club, which is in the gay club area, and both went to Dahmer's apartment where Dahmer drugged Hughes, killed him, and dismembered him. He is under the influence now of this drug, and At that time, some citizens see him and the police are summoned. A fire truck comes, the police come, and Mr. Dahmer is there. Mr. Dahmer comes up in the scene. Mr. Dahmer, at that time, claims he's been drinking, and young Synthesymphones is there. Young Synthesymphones is talking in native Laotian. He's under the influence of the drug that Mr. Dahmer has administered to him. Before he left Synthesymphones, he had taken some pictures. The officers talk for several minutes with Mr. Dahmer while young Synthesymphones is there. He persuades those officers. He is in control of the situation. He persuades those officers that Conorak Synthesymphones is a friend of his that's been staying there for several days. And the young man who is 14 years of age, he persuades the officers that everything's okay, and they leave. Not long after they leave, or after they leave, he decides that he will undertakes, he says, to do some additional drilling with Conorak Synthesymphones. Synthesymphones dies. On June the 30th of 1991, victim number 14, Matt Turner, meets Jeffrey Dahmer at a bus station in Chicago. Dahmer has been going down to Chicago. He meets this man, Matt Turner, at the bus station in Chicago, and induces him to come up to Milwaukee. That's got to take some persuasion. You can bet on that. Do you think he was dealing with an out-of-control, incoherent man, or a person who could be persuasive? All these people that go out to the apartment with him. At any rate, they come up. Mr. Matt Turner comes up from Chicago. Dahmer gets him into the apartment, drugs him, has sex with him, uses a strap to strangle him to death. On the 5th of July, 1991, Mr. Dahmer is again down in Chicago. He meets in a bar. He meets a Jeremiah Weinberger in a bar. They take a Greyhound back to Milwaukee and go to Dahmer's apartment. At that time, they have oral sex. Dahmer drugs him and proceeds to strangle the victim. On the 15th of July, 1991, Mr. Dahmer meets Oliver Lacey at 27th Street between State and Kilburn and induces him to come to his apartment. They go to Dahmer's apartment. He says to pose for photos. Dahmer drugs him and strangles the victim, and Dahmer says he then had anal sex with him after that. On the 19th of July, 1991, Mr. Dahmer meets at a bus stop on the west side of our city, meets Joseph Bredehoft, and persuades Joseph Bredehoft to go to the apartment with him. There's drugging involved and oral sex, and Dahmer strangles this man with a strap and then proceeds to dismember him. On the 22nd of July of 1991, Mr. Dahmer had contact with one Tracy Edwards at the Grand Avenue Mall and induced him to return to the apartment. Mr. Dahmer, the drugging, either did not have the sufficient drugging pills. At any rate, there was a dispute developed between he and Mr. Edwards, and Mr. Edwards made it out of the apartment alive and summoned police, who returned, and the arrest of Mr. Dahmer ensued. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've talked for a long time. You've been very patient. You're probably wondering about lunch. We will put on not just the psychiatrists. We will put on numerous people that spent thousands of hours with Mr. Dahmer. And I will ask you to listen carefully to what they have to say, to listen to our psychiatrists, evaluate their competence, evaluate their thoroughness in this matter. I profoundly and deeply appreciate your attention. I know my saintly dear mother used to say, whenever I'd be giving a public speech, Mike, talk no more than 20 minutes. After that, everybody quits listening. I know you haven't quit listening. I've seen your eyes. That takes intense dedication. I thank you for it.
One time, he took off the head of a dog and put it on a stake and hung it out so that everybody could see it, primarily for shock value. This obsession of this dead animals and doing things with them started becoming something that became more and more into his life, into his head. He isolated himself, spent a lot of time alone, started internalizing, as the doctors will tell you, started internalizing his feelings, and they'll explain that to you. When he brought that youngster up, the one that we've talked about, Conorak, and the police went up, in the next room, in his bedroom, there lied the dead body of another one of his victims. Those who are interested, the very, very unfortunate victims, families, who don't need my sympathy. I can't ever make it right by them, ever, no matter what. But I am sensitive to it. And I respect the state of Wisconsin for coming in and fighting these charges, because that's what they feel they should. Just as I know I have to do what I'm doing, and I make no excuses for it. When I get to talk to you again, it'll take on, I think, a different type of statement, because then I'll be able to argue. I can't argue now. I can only tell you what I know I have to do, and I can also tell you that I'm going to do it. So I ask that you believe what I've told you. And if I've said things that are out of whack, if I misplaced something, the evidence you hear is the barometer of that. If I've said anything that's offended you because I've telling you this story, I submit to you that there's no way you 14 can feel that way, because we all promised each other that this is what I was going to do and you were ready to accept it. And I appreciate that and your candor. As soon as I sit down, as far as I'm concerned, you no longer exist. My job is to get information out so that you may think about it, and then in the final analysis, we'll talk about it. And I thank you very much for your attention at this juncture. I will move it along quickly. Tracy Edwards, perhaps somebody from law enforcement, certainly a member of the Milwaukee Police Department or two. There will be 3 professionals in the form of 2 psychiatrists and 1 psychologist. And I'm not going to stay and ask any more questions than I think you want me to ask. I'm not going to keep them on and say the same thing over and over and over again. A jury individually and a jury collectively is very bright, and I know I don't have to do that. So we'll get to the heart of the problem so you can get to the meat of the question and address it in the final analysis. Thank you.
You state your name and spell your last name, please.
Joseph Gabrish, Gabrish.
In the early morning hours of May 27, 1991, you were a City of Milwaukee police officer. Is that correct?
That's correct. The dispatch, as I recall it, was a naked man down near 25th and State Street.
And he went in that squad to that location. Is that correct?
Correct. I exited the car. I was the passenger of the car. There was a group of people in the alley, and they were all pointing to a white male and a second Asian male who was naked just east of our location in the alley. I talked to the Asian male, correct, and my partner talked to who we later found out to be Mr. Dahmer.
And would you tell the jury what, if anything, you said to the Asian male, and what, if anything, he responded to you?
I asked him several times what his name was, his date of birth, trying to get informational questions about the goings-on from him, and he did not give any type of communicatable response to me.
Was he making any noise at all? Did you get any response at all from him?
He was basically mumbling, but it was nothing that could be understood.
Were you close to him at this time?
Yes, I was.
Were you in front of the headlights on the squad?
Yes.
What physical observations did you make of him at that time?
That he was an Asian male, that he appeared to be approximately 19 to 20 years old, that regarding any injury, the only thing that I noticed that he had a scuffed knee. The fire department looked him over briefly, at which point I suggested that he had either been drinking or was intoxicated. They continued to look him over and then they left. My partner came up to me and told me that he had obtained information from the white male to whom he was talking to, and basically that the Asian male's name was John Hamung and that he was 20 years old and that he had been staying with him for the last, I believe he said 2 to 3 weeks.
Had been staying with whom?
With Mr. Dahmer. He also had obtained Dahmer's name at that point.
And did he mention that what the white male's name was?
Yes, Jeffrey Dahmer. I believe he also had a date of birth, but I don't recall what that is.
And what, if anything, did you and your partner decide to do?
At that point, my partner asked the Asian male some of the similar questions that I had been asking him in an attempt to get a response from him. There still was no response.
He did not respond to Balzerzak either.
Right.
Right.
My partner, Officer Balzerzak, then asked the crowd if anyone there knew the Asian male or knew what was going on, and no one responded to him at that point.
Had you had any communication from persons in the group while you were attempting to talk to the Asian male?
I had communication briefly when I got there. Someone suggested that the Asian male and the white male may have been in a fight. Later on, I believe that same person came up to me and said she had further information. I requested that she stood back momentarily until we could stabilize the situation and get it under control, and that I would be with her as soon as I could get to her.
After Officer Balzerzak attempted without success to get any information from the Asian male, what, if anything, did you or he do?
At that point, Officer Balzerzak went back and talked to Mr. Dahmer again for a short period of time. And shortly after that, he came back to me. We decided to continue our investigation by way of going back up to the apartment, as my partner had found out that the Asian male had been there previously, and that's where his clothing was.
During this time, can you describe what your observations you made of the Asian male?
He basically just walked with us. He didn't indicate that anything was wrong.
Did he stagger at all, anything like that, if you recollect?
He may have had some trouble walking due to the fact that he had been drinking, but he basically walked on his own, and we just guided him and helped him keep the blanket over himself.
Did he then go in the apartment building as well?
Yes, with us.
And,
we all basically went in at the same time.
And then Balzerzak got out of the car and followed you?
Yes. In fact, I think we waited for him for about 5 seconds, and then we all went in together.
When you entered the apartment, what did you observe?
Basically that it was a well-kept apartment. It was neat. Just a normal apartment. The next thing that happened was that Officer Porupkin, he had walked the farthest into the apartment. He had found a picture on a coffee table or a table that was in the apartment, and it was of the same Asian male, Conrad.
And what did he do with that picture?
He held it up to Officer Balzerzak and myself, who were standing near to Mr. Dahmer, and we asked Mr. Dahmer what it was, and his response was that everyone is into something, or everybody has got to be into something.
Right. And what is depicted in that exhibit that you say you recognize?
It's the Asian male in the same apartment posing in a black pair of swimming suits.
And is he laying somewhere, or is he standing in that exhibit?
He is standing up.
And what is his clothing?
Just the black swimming suit.
And does he appear to be awake, or his eyes open?
He's awake. He's standing, looking directly at the camera.
What happened after you saw the pictures? The one picture that you observed.
We like I said, we asked Mr. Dahmer what it was, and he said that everyone was into something, and we depicted that to mean that they were friends or had some sort of relationship. Mr. Dahmer assured us that this was a friend of his and that he would take care of him, that there would be no further need for the police or any further disturbance whatsoever.
And what happened then?
After that, we told the Asian male, who we know now as Conrad Simpliphone, that we were leaving. He showed no sign of any stress or didn't try to signal us or say anything to us about leaving. We felt the situation was fine, that basically our investigation had been completed at that point. We were assured, like I said, by Mr. Dahmer that no further activity would continue, and we left the apartment. While we were in the apartment, I realized that my partner doesn't smell anything because he has allergies, but there was a slight smell, which I equated to that of a bowel movement or somebody had just gone to the bathroom.
Sorry, I do have to interject here and let you know that there are 3 civilian witnesses that greatly disputed Officer Gabrish's testimony. There were 3 women that found Konorak Synthesifome naked and injured and called the police. Now, according to them, Konorak had blood on his testicles and was bleeding from his rectum and had been seen struggling with Dahmer on the way to the apartment building initially. Both officers told the women to butt out and shut the hell up to keep them from interfering. The fire department did arrive, and they actually wanted to transport Konorak to the hospital, but the officers said no, that they could leave. As it turns out, the odor that Gabrish said smelled like feces was the decomposing body of Tony Hughes. Had they looked into the bedroom, they would have found him. The officers listed the complaint as a domestic dispute.
And the way you know Jeff Dahmer is he lived in the apartment building that you were the manager of. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And do you recall your first contact with Mr. Dahmer after you were hired to be manager of the building?
Yes, I believe the first contact I had with him was sometime in July, towards the end of the July.
In 1990?
In 1990, when he asked me to put a lock on his mailbox.
And did you do that?
Yes, I did. Yes, in August of 1990, we had complaints from residents about the smell, and he told me that he was sorry that it happened, but his freezer broke, and he had about $150 worth of meat getting spoiled.
When you talked with him, did he appear nervous or uncomfortable?
Well, while we were speaking, he did not appear abnormal. He was quite normal.
Did you then go up to his apartment to look in that freezer?
Yes, I decided to verify that it was the freezer.
And did you go up to his apartment then?
That's right.
What apartment number was that?
It's the apartment number 213.
And when you went into that apartment, did you notice a bad smell?
I didn't notice any bad smell when I got into the apartment, but because he said it was his deep freezer that broke, he opened it for me, and then I took a look into it.
And what did you see when you looked into it?
I saw normal grocery kind of meat on top.
Like chicken?
I believe it looked like steak.
You already told us about confronting Mr. Dahmer about the odor problem in August of 1990. Did there come another time when you had to talk to Mr. Dahmer about this?
Yes, I remember.
When was that?
This was late May of 1991.
And how did you become that there was an odor problem? How did you find that out? How did you become aware of that?
There was a potential resident who had wanted to rent an apartment directly above from him. And I had gone to set up the apartment against the 1st of June, but I couldn't stay to set it up because of the odor.
What did you do when you had problems just staying in that apartment?
Well, I knew that the odor was coming from his apartment because we had already known that before. So I had to start looking for him.
Was it similar to the odor you had noticed in August of 1990?
Yes, it was similar, but it's much stronger.
Did you ever find Mr. Dahmer at that time?
Yes, I did, and I asked him, excuse me, I asked him what's the problem again, because I told him the lady moving upstairs, is not gonna be able to do so because of the smell, and that he's messing up our business.
When you confronted him, was he angry with you?
No, he wasn't angry with me.
Did he appear nervous or upset or anxious when you confronted him?
No.
How did he explain the odor?
Well, he told me that it was his fish tank. He has claimed that 2 fishes had died in his fish tank, and he hadn't dumped them, and they started smelling.
What impression did he leave on your mind?
I thought he was a nice guy at the time.
In fact, you were willing to ask him to be your business partner, is that correct?
That's right.
No further questions.
And you were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on July the 22nd, 1991?
Yes.
And at or about that time, on that late afternoon, did you have occasion to see a person that you knew at that time or subsequently learned was a fellow by the name of Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
And you know that Mr. Dahmer you're speaking about is the defendant in this case to my right, correct?
Yes.
And that made a record I show the identification. July the 22nd and the morning of July the 23rd, 1991.
That's correct.
So that you know, Mr. Edwards, your name is known to the jury because there has been testimony concerning what happened to you and at the apartment of Mr. Dahmer. Do you understand?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Where was it that you saw him in the late afternoon, early morning hours of July the 22nd?
Grand Avenue Mall. Yeah, he approached us eventually and started talking to us. Yeah.
Were you 3 black males?
Yeah. One white, 2 black male.
Okay. So you're friends.
Yeah, my best friend was white. Yeah.
When he came up and started talking to you, what is it that Mr. Dahmer said to you?
He said he was just in the city from Chicago. He was taking care of her sick grandmother, I believe, in West Allis. Yeah.
And did he have any further conversation with you and your friend?
Yeah, he was just talking. He said he was a professional photographer. He usually pays people for pictures and stuff like that if anybody was interested in making money at that time.
To have to pose for pictures?
Yeah.
Did he describe the kind of pictures that you were going to be posing for if you chose to take him up on the offer?
He said nude.
Nude.
Right.
Now, after he said that to you, what did you and your friends do?
They were just talking, discussing it, seeing what was going on,
And what did you end up doing? Did you remain at Grand Avenue or did you go somewhere else?
We proceeded from there. He said he was going to buy all his guys beer, rum, and Coke, watch videos or something like that.
Rum and Coke, did you say?
Yeah, we went to the liquor store on Wisconsin Avenue, 7th and Wisconsin Avenue.
So you walked from Grand Avenue down to 7th and Wisconsin?
Yeah, up, so to speak. Yeah,
At that
between
time-
5th and 6th, 7th, something like that. I'm not really sure.
The general area of 6th
Right.
or 7th in Wisconsin. Was it going to be the 3 of you and Mr. Dahmer were going to stay together, or was it agreed upon that one or others of you were going to go with Mr. Dahmer, or was there no agreement?
They were going to meet up with us eventually later on that evening.
Meet up with who?
Jeffrey at his apartment, but he gave them the wrong address at that time.
Now, what was your plan as you were in front of that liquor store after Mr. Dahmer came out with the liquor and you had been talking to your brother? What was your plan? What were you going to do? You say you were going to go home and change clothes?
Yeah, and eventually I was going to go over there, and maybe check out what he was talking about making the money at that time.
So your interest was in making some money?
Right.
Did he tell you how much you would be paid if you did pose for him?
He said $100 for it.
You had no idea, did you, that this was for any homosexual?
No, he didn't come across like that, and he didn't even act like it at that time.
Okay. Yeah. What happened then? Who else remained there when this was all transpired? Just you and Mr. Dahmer, or you, Mr. Dahmer, and others?
After it all had transpired, it was me and Mr. Dahmer in the cab, leaving.
You met up at about 6 o'clock, 6:15. What time is it now at this time?
It's maybe 6:30 as we get to 26th in Wisconsin.
Tell me about his demeanor. You know what I mean by that, Mr. Edwards?
Yes,
How would he act?
Just like a normal, everyday person, friendly, good conversationalist. He was talking about the military, things of that nature.
Tell us what happens when you get up to the apartment. Tell us what you observed, what your senses told you.
Okay, first of all, it seemed like a normal apartment. When we got inside, he turned off burglar alarms. I asked him why. First, it was a foul odor, okay?
Tell us about that. What kind of an odor?
It was just like an odor. I didn't quite know what it was. He told me a sewer pipe had broke and management would take care of it. Yeah.
And did you accept that?
Yes, because I worked around at construction companies before, and when pipes bust, sewer pipes bust, they smell,
Okay. And when he brings you the beer, he brings you rum and Coke?
Yeah, he brings the beer first, and then he brings the rum and Coke.
How big of a glass?
Maybe that big, yeah.
About 4 inches high?
4 inches, yeah, 3.5, something like that.
Did you ever taste it?
Yeah, I took a few sips.
Was it strong, weak, medium, or just about right?
I'm not a big liquor drinker, so it didn't taste that good to me, I don't.
Okay, when you start talking about the fish in the fish tank, do you bring that up or does he?
He does.
And what do you do when he does that?
I turn to the right, like the fish tank is here. I'm turning all the way over here.
You turn to your right to look at it?
To look at the fish tank, right.
And when that happens, what happens to you?
All of a sudden, a handcuff and a knife is pulled on me. Yeah.
Handcuff is placed on your body? Where?
On my left wrist.
And you see a knife?
Yeah, the knife, yeah.
Now, at that moment, what do you do?
First, I feel fear. Then I ask him what's going on. This is not necessary, to pull a knife on me at that
Are you
point.
afraid?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to know why he did that?
None whatsoever.
Did you have any idea at that time it was going to happen?
No.
Tell me about his demeanor at that time when you looked and realized he had a knife and you in a cuff. You were only cuffed on one wrist.
One wrist, yeah.
What was happening to the other part of the handcuff?
Okay, he had it in his hand.
He was holding it?
Holding that in the wrist, yeah.
Where was the knife? In the other hand?
The knife was like he had here. The knife was in his hand. He had it on me like this. It's like it was a totally different guy there.
So he told you if you didn't do what he told you to do, he'd hurt you.
He'd hurt me.
What'd you do? What happened? Tell us what happened step by step as best we can remember.
And then all of a sudden he kind of calms down, and then he said he has a key in the bedroom, so we proceed to the bedroom.
The key to the handcuffs?
Right.
So you believed he was going to take them off?
Yeah. At that point, I had to go along with this guy, and then if I had to find out, so I walked back there with him. He kind of guides me back there,
Guides you back with the cuff and the knife?
Yeah, right.
And you go into the bedroom?
Right.
What do you see in the bedroom?
A big, about 50, 60-gallon drum barrel, whatever.
Do you ever see a 50, 60 drum barrel in anybody's bedroom before?
Not at all.
Do you have any idea? Did you ask him what it was?
No. At that point, I asked no questions at that time.
Was there a bed in that room?
Yes.
How was the bed? Was it made, unmade?
It was unmade.
What did you see on the bed, if anything?
Something like a stain or whatever, on the bed.
What did you think it was?
At that point in time, I wasn't sure. Okay.
What did you do when you got in the bedroom as he's holding on to the cuff and the knife? What did you do?
Studied us talking, trying to be friends with him, know.
Did you remain standing? Did you sit down?
He made me sit down at that point. We both sit on the bed. Whatever.
Was it at the foot of the bed, side of the bed, head of the bed?
Maybe halfway between.
And then what happened? You're both sitting on the bed?
Yes.
Are you still in handcuffs?
Yes.
Is he holding the handcuff?
Right.
Do you still have the knife?
Right.
Is it pointed at your side as you've told us before?
Right.
You trying to be cool?
Very much so.
You're not fighting with him?
No.
What's your intention? What are you planning on doing?
Getting away. I was contemplating on at the point jumping out the window. I was basically talking with this person, trying to let him know I was his friend.
Okay, did you and he move off of the bed at any time?
Yes, he wanted me to lay flat down, stomach down on the floor at that time.
Did you at any time go to the bathroom, use the washroom, prior to the time that he asked you to lay down on the floor?
No.
All right, tell us what happened how did that happen that he told you to lay down on the floor?
He told me to lay down face down, put both of my hands behind my back because he changed again at that point, like he got more aggressive at that time.
Okay, now, but tell us, did he still have the knife out?
Yes, he still had the knife.
And what did you do?
Okay, I kind of like laid on my sides. For some reason, I guess God told me not to lay flat down or let this person handcuff me, so I didn't.
So you were trying to stop that from happening, but you got down on the floor.
Right.
What did he do?
He kind of laid across me, put his head across my chest at that point.
And what was he doing with his head?
Pardon me?
What did it appear to you he was doing with his head? What was he trying to do?
Like he was listening to my heart, because at a point he told me he was going to eat my heart at that point.
He said he was going to eat your heart?
Yes, that's correct.
Did he still have the knife?
Yeah.
Where was the knife pointed?
When I was on the floor, he had it pointed at my groin area at that time.
One knife?
He had several, and then he slid one. I managed to slide one underneath the bed. And I guess during a point of time through an ordeal, he didn't know where the knife was, so I didn't know if he felt that was a threat or not.
So he still had a knife, you're on the floor. How long does he lay on top of you trying to hear your heart as you've described it?
Maybe a minute and a half.
And then what did you do then?
I knew something was about to happen, so I suggested that I go to the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom at that time.
And what did he do?
He kind of guided me to the bathroom.
So when you say he guided you, still had hold of your handcuff?
Yes.
And you went to the bathroom?
Right.
Did you urinate?
Yeah.
Were you able to utilize your own zipper, or did he touch you at all?
Touched me in no way. Didn't attempt to look. He just held me in back. Yeah.
So in other words, he didn't try to look at what your penis looked like or anything?
Not at all.
So after urinating, did you think that you were going to be the victim of... Did he ask to engage in any homosexual acts with you?
None whatsoever.
Okay, so now you leave the bathroom and what happens?
Okay, then we go back into the bedroom, you know. It was like different time spans. We were talking about him losing his job. Then he would come to the person that I was first with, you know. And then at certain points he would change. You know, at first he was telling me about how people didn't care for him and things of this nature. And I was trying to comfort him, letting him know that I was a friend, you know, that I wasn't going to try to run away from him or nothing like that.
You were being cool. Now there came a time when you went to the washroom again?
Right, I suggested, because he had started getting aggressive a little bit again. I suggested go to the bathroom. He let me stay in there by myself while he stayed outside the door at that time.
And what happened then?
And then I told him, I was contemplating, I was asking God, shall I make my move now? And I was going to just jump out the window. But when I got out, for some reason, I asked, could I have another beer? Yeah.
And what did he do?
And he reaches over, he guides me over and reaches in and get a beer.
He still got you on the cuff?
Yeah. And then he tells me, I told him I want to sit in the front because it's an air conditioner. I was just going to try to jump out the window or go for the door or whatever. And because the back bedroom didn't have an air conditioner, only in the front. So I suggested we sit on the couch. I had unbuttoned my shirt to try to make him feel more at ease. And then I just sat on the couch and he just started going out of himself again. Yeah.
Going out of himself?
Yeah, he was like paying me no attention at that time.
Like he wasn't there?
So yeah, he started the chanting again and it's like just sitting there, you know. And then I just, for some reason, I said, well, I need to go to the bathroom again. And he didn't follow me at that point. So I reached up, I got up, and then I hit him and I ran out.
So you hit him?
Right.
Did you have any other belongings there?
I had my bag right there at the end of the couch. I sit in exactly the same place I sit when I went in there.
So when you got up, he let go of your cuff to let you go to the bathroom again?
He just let me stay there. I was going to go for the window. At that point, he didn't even have the cuff. It's like I wasn't even there anymore.
Yeah. And when you saw that, what'd you do?
Mm-hmm. I just seized the opportunity. I said, well, at least I'm going to die trying. I'm not just going to sit here, you know.
What'd you do, son?
I hit him and I ran towards the door and he was right there, tried to grab me, get me back in there.
And what happened?
Then I made it outside.
So he wasn't able to bring you back in?
Bring me back in there, no.
He tried?
He tried.
And as you left that apartment, as you got away from him, I'm going to ask you again, what impressions were made on your mind by the conduct of Jeffrey Dahmer, by the actions of Jeffrey Dahmer, by the manner, expressions, and conversations of Jeffrey Dahmer that you observed? Can you give us some words?
It's like I told the policeman that this freak, this crazy guy, was trying to hurt me. Yeah.
Did you run out of the building?
Yes, I did.
Did you summon help?
Yes,
Milwaukee Police Department?
that's correct.
Did they come back there with you to the apartment?
Right.
Did you eventually go back into the apartment with the Milwaukee police officers?
Yes.
And then he was arrested.
Right.
Please state your name, spelling your last name.
Kenneth Moyler, M-E-U-L-E-R.
How are you employed, sir?
I'm a lieutenant of detectives for the City of Milwaukee Police Department.
As Exhibit 79. What's that?
There's several papers in here. The top paper is a receipt from the Sears store for a freezer. The receipt is dated May 24th, 1990, and it shows that looks like a 10.5 cubic foot freezer was purchased and later was delivered on 5/25/90 to Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment.
In the course of the investigation, did you also obtain Jeffrey Dahmer's telephone records?
Yes, we did.
Were there a number of phone calls to various companies?
Yes, there was.
Did the investigation indicate what those companies were?
On July 10th, 1991, there was 4 phone calls made to commercial or industrial barrel type companies.
Finally, Detective, we've referred to a particular type of sleeping pill or tablet that Mr. Dahmer used in these offenses. Did the investigation reveal a number of prescriptions being filled, either prescriptions being made out for Mr. Dahmer and indeed other prescriptions being filled at local pharmacies?
Yes, we did. We obtained several records regarding that portion of the investigation.
And these are all for the same type of sleeping tablet?
Yes, they are.
And then, sir, would you state your name and spell your last name, please?
Donald Yockey, Y-O-C-K-E-Y,
And how were you employed?
for the City of West Dallas Police Department.
And how long have you been so employed?
19 years.
And what rank have you attained?
I'm a lieutenant. Our department had received a complaint from Mr. Flowers that he had been robbed.
And when he came there, did you place him in custody?
No, we did not. He basically admitted to everything that Mr. Flowers had said except the part about taking his money and his chain.
Go ahead.
He had stated that he had met Mr. Flowers at a bar on Saturday night, early Sunday morning, and he saw that this party was having trouble getting his car started, so Jeff said that he invited him to his house. They both finally fell asleep. Mr. Dahmer stated that they were both very drunk. And Mr. Dahmer stated that he woke up on Sunday morning around 9 a.m. and he wanted to get Mr. Flowers out of the house before his grandmother woke up. He didn't want to upset his grandmother. He said that he only saw $20 bills in Mr. Flowers' wallet, and he wanted to take Mr. Flowers to the bus, and he knew the bus driver would not change a 20, so Mr. Dahmer gave him $1, walked him to the bus stop on 57th and Lincoln, and waited with him for the bus to come and made sure he got on the bus. And that is the last time he saw him.
Detective Kennedy, what were the circumstances under which you became aware of Mr. Dahmer, and would you tell the court and the jury how that came about, please?
I was working on a homicide squad on the late shift. My partner, Michael Dubas, and myself were sent to Mr. Dahmer's apartment to investigate a head which was found in the refrigerator. He admitted that he had been arrested in the past and states he is currently on probation for taking Polaroid pictures of a minor. Subject states that when he was 18 years of age and living in Richfield, Ohio, he picked up a hitchhiker whom he described as a white male about 19 years of age. He states he took him home and had homosexual sex with him, and states they were drinking beer and became intoxicated. He states they got into a physical fight because the 19-year-old individual tried to leave, and that during the fight, he states he struck the hitchhiker with the barbell. He states that the blow of the barbell caused the death of the hitchhiker. And at this time, he took the body out into a wooded area by his house and left it there to decompose for about 2 weeks. I realized that there was a head in the refrigerator.
I understand that, but
No,
you didn't
sir.
have a murder. You didn't say you're under arrest for the murder of.
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Continue up.
He states he returned with a sledgehammer at this time and used it to break the bones, and then he scattered them about the woods. He states they got a room at the Ambassador Hotel, and they got very drunk and passed out. Subject states when he woke up, the guy was dead and had blood coming from his mouth.
Let me stop you. Did you know of that homicide at the time that he volunteered it?
No, sir, I did not.
Continue on, please.
He states he went to the mall and bought a large suitcase and stuck the dead body into it. He states he called a cab and placed the suitcase into it and went back to 2357 South 57th Street. He states that he took the dead body down his basement near a floor drain and used a knife to cut the flesh off the body and then dismember the body, placed the various parts into plastic bags, and then threw them into the trash. The subject feels this occurred in 1984 during the summer, and states that about 2 months after this incident, he met a Hispanic male about 18 years of age, also at the 219 Club at about 1 a.m. They went back to his grandmother's place and had sex, and put sleeping pills in his drink. He states when the guy fell asleep, he strangled him with his hands and took the body down the basement by the drain and used a knife to dismember him and a sledgehammer to break up the bones, and then placed them in plastic bags and threw them into the trash. About a month later, he met a black and white mixed male, about 20 years of age, at the La Cage, a tavern on National Avenue, and took him back to his grandmother's house where he had sex and used sleeping pills with him. He states when he was asleep, he strangled him and then dismembered his body and disposed of him in the same manner as before. The subject states a year went by and he met a Hispanic male, about 19 years of age, at the 219 Club, and returned with him to his grandmother's house where he again had sex, used sleeping pills, and strangled him, and again dismembered and disposed of the body in the same way.
Once again, you didn't know about that homicide?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
Subject states he moved to 808 North 24th Street and lived there for a year, and was arrested one time for taking pictures of a minor. After 1 year of work release from the House of Correction, he moved back to his grandmother's house and lived there for approximately 6 months. At this time, he moved to 924 North 25th Street, apartment 213. Subject states in the winter of '89, he met a black male about 24 years of age in front of the bookstore on 27th Street, and took him to his apartment where he took pictures of him in various sexual poses and had sex with him, and put sleeping pills in a coffee and rum drink which he gave to the black male. When the black male fell asleep, he stabbed him with a large hunting knife, which he described as having a 6-inch blade and a black handle. He stabbed him in the neck. After the guy was dead, he put the body in the bathtub and dismembered him. He states he used the knife to dismember him. The subject states he used a plastic trash container or garbage bag and put the bones in it with hydrochloric acid and let them sit for about 3 days until they turned to a mushy substance, and then he flushed them down the toilet. The subject states that he filleted from the body the subject states the flesh he filleted from the body he put into trash bags and threw them out.
You didn't know of that homicide, did you, at the time you're talking?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
The subject states he also, starting with the third victim, boiled the heads in a cleaning solution and kept the skulls. He kept the skulls in the closet. All identification and jewelry of the victims he states he cut up and threw out into the garbage. The subject states about 2 months later he met a black male, about 20 years of age, around Wisconsin and Water, and walked home with him and again had sex, used sleeping pills, which was placed in a coffee mixture, and strangled him. He then dismembered the body and disposed of him in the same manner as before.
You did not know of that murder?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
Subject states he began getting quicker at cutting up the bodies. The subject states about 1 month later, he met a tall black male about 26 years of age at the C'est La Vie, and they took a taxi home to his apartment, and he repeated the same scenario with him, but did not boil and keep his head. The subject states this was due to time constraints. Subject states about 6 months later, he met a black male about 20 years of age while in Chicago, and rode back to Milwaukee by Greyhound bus. He states before this, he met a Chinese male about 15 years of age at the Grand Avenue Mall. This was around May or early June. He states they took a bus back to his apartment. It was during the day or the afternoon. He states the Chinese male posed for Polaroid photos, and then he gave him sleeping pills and the coffee and rum drink. After he passed out, he strangled him and dismembered and disposed of his body parts in the same way as before.
Once again, these last 2 or 3 murders he's talking about, you had no idea about.
That's correct, sir.
Go ahead.
The subject states that the body parts gave off an awful smell in the trash, but no one ever did anything about it, so he just kept following his usual procedure of disposal. Regarding the black male from Chicago, he states that he repeated his usual actions with him. Regarding the head in the refrigerator.
Now, let me stop you there. At the time that you were there, and understanding we're talking primarily about the confession, there was a head found in the refrigerator of his apartment.
That's correct, sir.
It was not identifiable as to whose skull that had been, correct?
Not at that time, sir.
Okay, continue talking.
Regarding the head in the refrigerator, he states he met him, a black male about 25 years of age, at 27th in Wisconsin, and took him home and repeated the same actions with him. He states about 1 month ago, he bought a 57-gallon industrial drum and began placing body parts in it. Subject states on about 7/19 of 91, he met a white male about 25 years of age near Marquette University and took him home, had sex with him, gave him sleeping pills and the coffee rum drink, strangled him and filleted him in the bathtub, dismembered him, and placed the body parts in the industrial drum.
Another homicide you did not know about.
That's correct, sir.
Go ahead.
Regarding the Chinese male, the subject states that after giving him sleeping pills, he fell asleep, and he, the subject, went to the bar on 27th Street. He states that as he left the bar, he saw the Chinese guy running down the street naked, and the police saw him and stopped him. And he was not speaking any English, so he talked with police and said that he was a friend of his and that he was staying with him. At this time, he took the Chinese guy back to his apartment, gave him some more coffee and rum solution with the sleeping pills in it, and after he fell asleep again, he strangled him, dismembered him, and disposed of him in the usual way. He then boiled his head. He states it takes about an hour to boil a head. Regarding his last victim, he states that his ID can be found in the bedroom of his apartment.
Was that a fact?
That is correct, sir.
Go ahead.
Regarding 7/23 of 91.
That's the evening or the early morning hours when he was arrested.
Yes, sir. The subject states he met a black male about 25 years of age at the mall on Wisconsin Avenue. He states he offered him $20 in cash to let him take some nude pictures of him. Once at his apartment, they drank rum, and he, the subject, got intoxicated.
When you say the subject, you mean whom?
Mr. Dahmer.
Okay.
Subject states that he tried to put handcuffs on the victim, and the victim ran out and got the police. Subject states he is not sure what happened next because he was drunk. Regarding the handcuffs, he would ask his victims if they would allow him to take a bondage picture with the handcuffs on, and that is how he would get them handcuffed. The subject states there is an ID from the male he met on 27th in Wisconsin in his wallet.
Is that a fact? Was that a fact?
Yes, sir, it was.
Go ahead.
The subject states that all his victims knew that homosexual activity was the idea and possibly pictures. At this time, after the subject gave me this statement verbally, I advised him that I would like to write it down verbatim on paper. However, before I did so, I would like to get another detective to sit in and be witness to this statement.
Do some persons have more than one pedophilia at the same have more than one paraphilia at the same time?
Yes, it's quite common for individuals to have multiple paraphilias simultaneously. There are fetishists who like a particular kind of underwear, who will lawfully purchase it at a store or quasi-lawfully purchase it by mail, soiled from somebody in the business of selling soiled underwear. But there are also others who will commit the crime and shoplift underwear, or steal it from the laundromat, or steal it from a clothesline, or even burglarize a house to go through an underwear drawer and steal underwear from a victim. Those are all varying ways that someone with that fetish can adapt to the desire. The choice is exactly the same. The freedom to make it is the same. The paraphilia provides no more than the motive for what a person would like to do. It does not determine whether the person does it, does not impair an individual's appreciation of wrongfulness, nor does it impair an individual's capacity to conform conduct. It only determines what it is one wishes to do. Whether he killed them or not, rubbing up against men when they're drugged is rubbing against an unconsenting partner, and therefore that's frotteurism. And he did that for more than 6 months. Well, I think that partialism could be applied to describe Mr. Dahmer's enduring interest in one particular part of the human body, namely the internal organs. Somewhere along the line, he acquired a sexual attraction to the appearance of the viscera, which, of course, do have a striking appearance. I believe he has consistently indicated, and his actions are consistent with, the idea that what is most appealing sexually to him is having control over another human in such a way that he can make primarily gentle uses of their body sexually. The favorite activities he describes are what he often refers to as light sex: kissing, touching, rubbing, hugging. The kinds of activities that between consenting adults would often amount to foreplay are things that he has emphasized with victims and with other partners. Those were activities, and those are normal activities with a consenting adult, that give him pleasure and that he always enjoyed. But he describes difficulty in getting partners to restrict themselves to just that. And there were a few whom he found particularly appealing because the physique was so close to his ideal that had he been able to have a continuing relationship with those men, he felt he would have had no need for any of the rest of what he did, no particular desire to do it. The term he used to describe these people with no free will that he wanted to create was the term zombies. And he tried 2 techniques for the creation of zombies. The point of having a zombie was that he would have a living, breathing, warm human. And one of the things he liked about that was that this interest in the viscera led him to enjoy listening to the sounds of the internal organs, listening to the heartbeat, listening to the sounds that an abdomen makes. Hearing the body sounds was both reassuring and exciting to him. And so he would ask victims if he could listen to them, or he would ask partners that. And after drugging men, it's one of the things he would do is to listen to their body sounds. Well, with a zombie, had he succeeded, he thought, be able to continue to do all the things he liked, including that. And the 2 techniques he actually tried were, of course, drilling into the skull and injecting acid into the what he thought would be the frontal lobe region, and likewise drilling into the skull and injecting boiling water into the frontal lobe region. He considered another possibility, which was drilling a hole more at the top of the skull and inserting some electrical apparatus and plugging this into the wall to try to use electricity to achieve the goal. But he felt he lacked the technical knowledge of electricity to do this, and told me he didn't really know how to make a switch or a rheostat, but that he'd thought about the idea. The murders, the killings with which he's charged, the availability then of a fresh corpse was such that he made use of that sexually in at least most of the instances for the few days where it was feasible to do that. And that use of those corpses and his interest in that and these other activities underlies my diagnosis of necrophilia, even though it wasn't his preferred activity, certainly not his exclusive activity. It was a compromise to what he would rather have been doing, but an acceptable compromise that he employed a number of times. And he actually did consider obtaining corpses through other means, having at one point looked at the obituaries to try to spot notices of the deaths of young males. And by young here I mean late adolescent or young adults. He's never had any known interest in children under 12. But that attraction to men from 16 to 25, if he could find one who died recently, he thought he might be able to obtain access to the corpse.
Because I phrased it negatively, let me rephrase it. Is the killing a part of the paraphilia?
Not for Mr. Dahmer, it isn't.
Does a paraphilia attraction cause a compulsion? And if not, why not?
A paraphilic attraction.
Go ahead, guys. Shall I repeat the question?
Thanks, I remember it. There are two different ways to look at the concept of compulsion. In medicine and psychiatry, we mean something very specific by compulsion. A compulsion is a senseless activity that the individual recognizes is senseless, and for which, I'm sorry, I didn't phrase it well, and which the individual engages in this activity in order to avoid some dreaded harm or to avoid something unpleasant.
Does that complete your answer, Doctor?
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
Give some time for a while.
Doctor, I think you had been talking about the temple matter, and could I ask you if that at that point, if you had, as you discussed that, if you had any considerations considering whether or not the defendant was psychotic?
Well, I gave consideration to that not only with respect to the temple, but with respect to all of the evidence. And I found no evidence that Mr. Dahmer has ever had any psychotic symptom. And there's no indication that Mr. Dahmer has ever had markedly illogical thinking. He's able to reason logically. He's able to communicate without difficulty. No impairment, as far as I've been able to tell, at any time in Mr. Dahmer's capacity for logical thinking. Something from him was stronger than the fear of being caught, I guess. That was about the time I had the table, the black table and the two griffins. And that's when I started formulating the idea of the temple area off of this. Mr. Dahmer drew for me a diagram of what he had in mind for the temple. And that diagram of the temple shows 10 skulls on a table with incense burning on both ends and 2 whole skeletons on either end of the black table with the plaster griffins above the table and a special globe lamp to impart an eerie sense of lighting. And he wanted a black leather chair so that he could sit in the leather chair and admire his collection. If he did this and had it set up this way, he would be able to somehow get in touch with some spiritual force or power. It's the time I started watching Return of the Jedi.
In the state of Wisconsin versus Jeffrey Dahmer, case number F912542, a special verdict. Question 1. At the time the crime was committed in count 1 of the information in regard to the death of James E. Dockstader, did the defendant, Jeffrey L. Dahmer, have a mental disease? Answer, no. In a special verdict, question number 1. At the time the crime was committed in count 2 of the information, in regard to the death of Richard Guerrero, did the defendant, Jeffrey L. Dahmer, have a mental disease? Answer, no. In regard to the death of Anthony Sears, answer, no. 4 of the information, in regard to the death of Raymond Smith, also known as Ricky Beeks, answer, no. Count 5 of the information in regard to the death of Edward W. Smith, answer, no. In regard to the death of Ernest Miller, answer, no. State of Wisconsin versus Jeffrey L. Dahmer, case number F912542, special verdict, question number 1. At the time the crime was committed in count 7 of the information in regard to the death of David Thomas, did the defendant, Jeffrey L. Dahmer, have a mental disease? Answer, no. In count 8 of the information in regard to the death of Curtis Strouter, answer, no. At the time the crime was committed in count 9 of the information in regard to the death of Errol Lindsay, did the defendant, Jeffrey L. Dahmer, have a mental disease? Answer, no. 10 of the information in regard to the death of Tony Anthony Hughes, answer, no. In regard to the death of Conorak Synthesymphone, answer, no. 12 of the information in regard to the death of Matt Turner, also known as Donald Montrell, answer, no. Count 13 of the information in regard to the death of Jeremiah Weinberger, answer, no. In regard to the death of Oliver Lacey, answer, no. Question number 1. The time the crime was committed in count 15 of the information in regard to the death of Joseph Bredehoft, answer, no. It's always the case that some people are asked to give more than others. And certainly the 14 people who sat through these 3 weeks have given more than just many, many people in this community to make this system work. My goal, my personal goal, in terms of this trial, was to make it a sound, professional, legal trial. To show that in Milwaukee, we have a system of justice that can't be beat anywhere else in this country. And with your help, I think we did that.
Jeffrey Dahmer has erased 1 million future memories for me of my closest brother. I will never get over the effects that Jeffrey Dahmer has placed in my mind and forever imprinted in my life. At the time Eddie's life was taken from him, he was searching for his place amongst you and me.
Jeffrey Dahmer, due to your actions, this has caused my family a great deal of pain and emotional distress. Jeffrey Dahmer, through your selfish actions, you have caused my family to suffer the loss of society and companionship of Ernest. Jeffrey Dahmer, just a couple of things about Ernest that you didn't take the time out to find out. First, Ernest was a dancer. This came naturally, and this was his dream, all through his short-lived life. Second, he had a family that loved him. He has a niece now that's 4 months old that he'll never get to hold or play or just watch grow up. He'll have to look from heaven now. I hope that you live a long life so that one day you can appreciate life. On that day, you would know my family's suffering.
2 fingers and 1 thumb means I love you in sign language. My son was deaf. When you cry, take 1 teardrop and place it outside your window ledge. And when I pass by, I'll exchange it for one of mine. 2 fingers and 1 thumb, Mom. You took my 17-year-old son away from me. I'll never get a chance to tell him that I loved him. I'd have a chance to tell him that I loved him the last time I saw him, which will be a year tomorrow. You took my daughter's only brother away from her. She'll never have a chance to sing and dance with him again. You took my mother's oldest grandchild from her, and for that I can never forgive you. I hope you can deal with what you've done. I'm trying hard to. You almost destroyed me, but I refuse to let you destroy me. I will carry on.
Suelto en las calles de nosotros. That means the devil, the pure devil, that walked our streets and was loose. So, Your Honor, please, I beg you, don't let this man ever walk our streets or see daylight again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I want to thank E. Michael McCann, district attorney, for being there with the family, seeing the family suffer this way, and to realize that we all have feelings, that we lost a loved one, that Lord knows will never come back. And I appreciate it, and I thank the Lord for him for being in there in our corner. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am.
For the Bright House family, as much as love in our family closed, my mother gave 5 beautiful kids. He destroyed the baby of the family, and I hope you go to hell.
And just keep this man off the street, please. I don't even need a microphone. My name is Rita Isbell.
No, ma'am. You'll address the court first.
My name is Rita Isbell, and I'm the oldest sister of Errol Lindsay. Whatever your name is, Satan. I'm mad. This is how you act when you are out of control. I don't want to ever see my mother have to go through this again. Never, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I hate you. Mother. I hate you. Something's out of control. Don't Jeffrey, I kill you. Gotta tell me, look at this mother. I can kill you.
Let's generate fast.
I can kill you.
Take it easy. Oh, the chick. Baby. Wow.
Right.
Your Honor, it is over now. This has never been a case of trying to get free. I didn't ever want freedom. Frankly, I wanted death for myself. This was a case to tell the world that I did what I did not for reasons of hate. I hated no one. I knew I was sick or evil or both. Now I believe I was sick. The doctors have told me about my sickness, and now I have some peace. I know how much harm I have caused. I tried to do the best I could after the arrest to make amends, but no matter what I did, I could not undo the terrible harm I have caused. My attempt to help identify the remains was the best that I could do, and that was hardly anything. I feel so bad for what I did to those poor families, and I understand their rightful hate. I know I will be in prison for the rest of my life. I know that I will have to turn to God to help me get through each day. I should have stayed with God. I tried and failed and created a holocaust. Thank God there will be no more harm that I can do. I believe that only the Lord Jesus Christ can save me from my sins. I have instructed Mr. Boyle to end this matter. I do not want to contest the civil case. I've told Mr. Boyle to try and finalize them if he can. If there is ever any money, I want it to go to the victims' families. I've talked to Mr. Boyle about other things that might help ease my conscience in some way of coming up with ideas on how to make some amends to these families, and I will work with him on that. I want to return to Ohio and quickly end that matter so that I can put all of this behind me and then come right back here to do my sentence. I decided to go through this trial for a number of reasons. One of the reasons was to let the world know that these were not hate crimes. I wanted the world in Milwaukee, which I deeply hurt, to know the truth of what I did. I didn't want unanswered questions. All the questions have now been answered. I wanted to find out just what it was that caused me to be so bad and evil. But most of all, Mr. Boyle and I decided that maybe there was a way for us to tell the world that if there are people out there with these disorders, maybe they can get some help before they end up being hurt or hurting someone. I think the trial did that. I take all the blame for what I did. I hurt many people. The judge in my earlier case tried to help me, and I refused his help, and he got hurt by what I did. I hurt those policemen in the Conorak matter, and I shall ever regret causing them to lose their jobs, and I hope and pray that they can get their jobs back because I know they did their best, and I just plain fooled them. For that I am so sorry. I know I hurt my probation officer, who was really trying to help me. I am so sorry for that, and sorry for everyone else that I have hurt. I have hurt my mother and father and stepmother. I love them all so very much. I hope that they will find the same peace I am looking for. Mr. Boyle's associates, Wendy and Ellen, have been wonderful to me, helping me through this worst of all times. I want to publicly thank Mr. Boyle. He didn't need to take this case, but when I asked him to help me find the answers and to help others, if I could, he stayed with me and went way overboard in trying to help me. Mr. Boyle and I agreed that it was never a matter of trying to get off. It was only a matter of which place I would be housed the rest of my life, not for my comfort, but for trying to study me in the hopes of helping me and learning to help others who might have problems. I know I will be in prison. I pledge to talk to doctors who might be able to find some answers. In closing, I just want to say that I hope God has forgiven me. I know society will never be able to forgive me. I know the families of the victims will never be able to forgive me for what I have done. I promise I will pray each day to ask for their forgiveness when the hurt goes away, if ever. I have seen their tears, and if I could give my life right now to bring their loved ones back, I would do it. I am so very sorry. Your Honor, I know that you are about to sentence me. I ask for no consideration. I want you to know that I have been treated perfectly by the deputies who have been in your court and the deputies who work the jail. The deputies have treated me very professionally, and I want everyone to know that. They have not given me special treatment. Here is a trustworthy saying that deserves full acceptance. Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of who I am the worst. But for that very reason I was shown mercy, so that in me, the worst of sinners, Christ Jesus might display his unlimited patience as an example for those who would believe in him and receive eternal life. Now to the King eternal, immortal, invisible, the only God, be honor and glory forever and ever. I know my time in prison will be terrible, but I deserve whatever I get because of what I have done. Thank you, Your Honor, and I am prepared for your sentence, which I know will be the maximum. I ask for no consideration.
People are looking to me to provide a measure of protection to the community, and I don't think there's only one way that protection can be provided, and that is to see that this defendant never again has the opportunity to walk the streets of our community as a free man. To be consecutive to count 13, count 15, life imprisonment with parole eligibility to be 70 years after the inception of that sentence, to be consecutive to count 14. I believe I have, and I intended to follow the recommendation of the state. I could have said something different, which would have had the same impact. I really see nobody gains anything by just to say more and more years. The important point is that the sentence is structured in such a way that this defendant will never again see freedom. That is owed to this community in order to protect the community, as well as acknowledgement of the seriousness of the offenses. Those are the reasons. The sentence, of course, is to the state prison system. One thing I didn't provide, all of these sentences are consecutive to the time he's presently serving.
On the morning of November 28, 1994, Dahmer left his prison cell to conduct his assigned work detail. With him were two fellow inmates, Jesse Anderson and Christopher Scarver. The three of them were left unsupervised in the showers for 20 minutes. At 8:10 a.m., Jeffrey Dahmer was found on the floor in the bathroom with massive head wounds from being bludgeoned about the head with a 20-inch metal bar and struck against the cement walls repeatedly. Dahmer was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead 1 hour after his arrival. Jesse Anderson was also attacked, and he also died 2 days later in hospital.